Now before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour had come to depart out of this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. During supper, when the devil had already put it into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he had come from God and was going back to God, rose from supper. He laid aside his outer garments, and taking a towel, tied it around his waist. Then he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet, and to wipe them with the towel that was wrapped around him. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, do you wash my feet?" Jesus answered him, "What I am doing you do not understand now, but afterward you will understand." Peter said to him, "You shall never wash my feet." But Jesus answered him, "If I do not wash you, you have no share with me." Simon Peter said to him, "Lord, then not my feet only, but also my hands and my head." And Jesus said to him, "The one who is bathed does not need to wash except for his feet, but is completely clean. And you are clean, but not every one of you." For he knew who was to betray him. That was why he said, "Not all of you are clean." When he had washed their feet and put on his outer garments and resumed his place, he said to them, "Do you understand what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, for so I am. If I then, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that you also should do just as I have done to you. Truly, truly, I say to you, a servant is not greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him." And when it was evening, Jesus came with the 12. And as they were reclining at table and eating, Jesus said, "Truly I say to you, one of you will betray me, one who is eating with me." They began to be sorrowful and to say to him one after another, "Could it be me? Will it be me?"
We have seen the Messiah, the one that Moses wrote about in the law and the prophets. He is Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph. And I said, can anything good come out of Nazareth? You know, I didn't mean it scornfully. I didn't mean to shame or to discount. But Nazareth is such an insignificant place. there's nothing special about it that the Messiah would be from Nazareth. So Philip looked at me and he said, "Come and see." So I went along. And then there was the day that I met Jesus. And Jesus said, "Behold, an Israelite in whom there is no deceit." I was absolutely amazed and astonished. It's as if Jesus, when he looked at me, he looked in my eyes and he could see everything about me. He knew everything that was going on inside of me. He knew my thoughts and my heart. I was at a place where I absolutely felt a kind of love that I had never felt before. Now tonight, we're at a Passover meal. And Jesus says to us, "One of you here will betray me." I find that so incredibly hard to believe. How could one of his best and closest friends betray him? Could it be me? Will it be me?
Like Zacchaeus, I'm a tax collector. My fellow Jews despise tax collectors. And I guess I can kind of see why that is, because we use every means at our disposal, some of them not really very honest, to get every last dime we can out of our fellow Jews, and we give it to the Romans. And to be honest, a lot of it ends up right in our pockets. My name is Levi. Now I'm called Matthew. I'd like to tell you how that change occurred. One day, I was sitting in my tax booth collecting my taxes, and Jesus walked up to me. He looked me straight in the eyes and he said, "Follow me." When Jesus looked into my eyes, I could tell he was seeing into my heart and my soul. He looked past all the ugliness that everyone else sees and that I see, frankly, when I look in the mirror. And he saw the good in my heart, the good in my soul, and the good that I could do for others. I knew I could do great things with this man, and so I followed him, and I have to this day. Later on, I threw a party for him at my house. I wanted all my friends to meet this incredible man who could change lives so powerfully for the good. Well, as you can imagine, men like me, my friends are other tax collectors and people with bad reputations. Jesus didn't seem to mind a bit, though. But the Pharisees, the important people in our community, they minded, and they said so. They asked Jesus, "How can you defile yourself by eating with sinners like these?" Jesus' response to them changed my life forever. He told them, "It is a sick man who needs a physician, not the well man." I've studied our scriptures and our prophecies very carefully, and I know that Jesus is our Messiah. He is the Christ. That's great news for the entire world. But now tonight, he has told us that one of us is going to betray him. It's inconceivable to me. I suddenly find myself wondering, is everyone else going to think it's me because of the bad person I used to be? I ask myself, will it be me?
My name is James, and because many men bear that name, I'm often called James the Lesser, mainly because I'm slight in stature. My father's name is Alphaeus, so sometimes I'm called James, the son of Alphaeus. I'll never forget the day that I first saw the one they called Jesus. I was walking down a road close to the place where John was teaching and baptizing. And there he was, Jesus, asking John to baptize him. John was reluctant. But finally he gave in. And when he finished baptizing Jesus, the most amazing thing happened. The sky opened up, and a dove descended down upon Jesus. And then a loud, audible, booming voice from heaven said, "Behold, this is my beloved Son, of whom I am well pleased." Can you believe that? A voice from heaven? Early on, Jesus chose me to be one of his 12 disciples. I'm not really sure why. I mean, a guy by the name of James the Lesser. But since he did, I've walked with him, I've talked with him, I've stayed with him, I've prayed with him. I've tried to learn everything I could about him and from him. And then the day he told me that one of us would betray him, I couldn't believe it. It's madness to me. How could one of us betray Jesus? Strange things seem to be happening in the world. So I had to ask myself, could it be me? Will it be me?
I'm James, the brother of John. My brother and I grew up learning the family fishing business from my father, Zebedee. About 3 years ago, that's where we were, in the fishing boat, mending our nets. And this man walked right out to the edge of the water, and he called to us to follow him. And we did. We left everything behind, all our possessions, our family, and we followed him. Don't ask me why. I didn't know. I didn't understand. But the man was so compelling, and we haven't regretted it ever since. We're honored to be one of Jesus' chosen 12. A little while ago, our mom got a little ambitious on our behalf, though. She asked Jesus if my brother and I could be seated at his right hand and his left when he came into his kingdom. Now, I admit, I wanted her to ask. I mean, who wouldn't want to be given such a great rank and position when Jesus was king? But it also was embarrassing. The other apostles, they were mad at us. Jesus said that it wasn't his place to say, that those were going to be taken care of by his Father. Then he said something strange. He said, whoever should be first must be a servant to all. And then he knelt down, started to wash our feet. Grimy, dirty feet. Couldn't believe the master did that. And then he said that someone there was going to betray him. Someone who had just been taught how to serve was going to betray him. Immediately I started to worry. Who would do such a thing? Could it be me? Will it be me?
I am Andrew, the brother of Simon. We, like James and John, made our living fishing. Now, I'm not a gifted man, just an ordinary, average man, like many of you. But I try to use the gifts and talents that I have to serve the Master. The others, they call me Andrew the Bringer, because I seem to have this knack for bringing people or things to Jesus. Well, I brought my brother Peter to Jesus when I realized that he was the Messiah. And I was the one who found that little lad with the 5 loaves and 2 fishes on that day that Jesus fed the 5,000. And just recently, some Greeks came seeking the master. And I was called upon once again to bring them to Jesus. Now, I don't know what Jesus sees in me, because he has made me one of his 12 trusted disciples. I mean, I'm just a fisherman. Nothing special. Now, I may not be in the inner circle like Peter, but I'm not in the outer circle either. I am a friend and companion to my Lord. What greater gift could life afford a fisherman? And now he tells us that one of us is to betray him. It's just unthinkable. Maybe Jesus is just mistaken. He's never wrong. But who could it be? Who could hold such malice in their heart? But could that someone be me? Will it be me?
All the others in the group are from Galilee. I come from a village of Kirioth in Judea. There I'm known as Judas of Kirioth, or Judas Iscariot, the only Judean in the group. Surely the others must trust me. They elected me their treasurer. Jesus certainly believes in me because he selected me as one of his 12. They say that when Jesus spoke about the love of money, that he was talking directly at me. Sure, I complained when Mary used that expensive oil to wash Jesus' feet. I thought it was a waste of money, but that doesn't mean that I'm greedy. And if I happen to have a plan with the chief priests, and if I happen to have 30 pieces of silver right here in this bag, that's my business. You see, I believe in Jesus, but he just won't make a move to usher in his kingdom as God's Messiah. Well, I've made one. I think he knows what I'm planning. He hinted as much when he washed my feet just a few minutes ago. But what would you do if you were in my shoes and you want him to do something dramatic to usher in his kingdom? I think the others in the end, they'll thank me. I even think Jesus will thank me. So, what should I do? Should I just ignore Jesus' remark? Or should I piously and self-righteously ask myself, could it be me? Will it be me?
I'm Philip from Bethsaida, Galilee. One day, some of us went out into the wilderness to see John the Baptist. And we met Jesus. And he said to follow him. And we did. We just followed him. I didn't even understand why. But we did. We followed him, and the things I saw, such amazing things. I can still smell the Sea of Galilee. I can still see the thousands of people who followed him out into the wilderness to hear him preach, who followed us. I can still see him preaching on the hill. I can still hear his words. And then it got late. And we knew that he would send them away. But he didn't. He turned to us. us feed them, all of them? How could it be? We couldn't do that. But we did it. He did it. He took just a few loaves of bread and some fish, and he blessed it. And he began to break the bread. And it was just more and more and more. It seemed to flow out. And everyone was fed. And there was so much, there was even 12 baskets left over. The things I saw. I didn't really understand Jesus. I didn't understand in the beginning even the things he said. Even him. He said things like, the Father is in me, and I am in the Father. I couldn't accept it. I didn't understand it. And he said, even stranger things. He said, if you have seen me, you have seen the Father. I didn't understand. But tonight, as I watch what he's done and we approach the Passover, and I see these things he said, I wonder. You see, when I look at Jesus, in him, when I see in Jesus, is everything I could hope to see in the Father. But he says, one of us will betray him. Could one of us be so blind? How could it be? Who could it be? Will it be me?
My name is Thaddeus, one of 12 men that Jesus has to be his disciple. Just like my ancestors, the 12 tribes of Israel, chosen for such a place, I feel so unworthy. I remember when one night Jesus stayed up all night praying, as he would sometimes do. He came to us and told us that we would have his authority to do the kind of things that we had seen him perform, to drive out unclean spirits, to heal diseases, miraculous things. And then he said, we'd be like sheep amongst wolves. And I didn't understand with such authority how we could be so vulnerable. I was so scared at first. But then we went out, and the power was with us. A beautiful a power of strength, a power of humility, a power where you're both filled and empty at the same time in a wondrous way. And now one of us is to betray him. 3 years we've been together. These men are like brothers to me. I don't understand. I mean, how could one of us actually become the wolves that he warned us about? Could it be Peter? Could it be Philip? If any of these men could betray Christ, then so could I. Will it be me? Could it be me?
My name is Thomas Didymus, which means Thomas the Twin. Now, some people have suggested that I'm somewhat suspicious by nature, and I will admit that I do like to see proof before I believe. I really like to be sure of all the facts before I make a commitment. Some people say that I'm a man of doubt, but I personally see myself as a man of daring. I remember a day when Mary and Martha sent word to Jesus that their brother Lazarus was ill. And Jesus said we had to go to him. And my brothers up here argued that it was too dangerous to go, and they were afraid because the last time we'd been in Bethany, there had been a rumor that a mob may stone Jesus. But I argued that we had to go, that if Jesus went, we had to go with him, even if it cost us our lives. So why is it that people remember my doubt and not my daring? Why do they remember the questions and not the affirmations? I remember I've seen so much walking with Jesus. I saw him quell the storm on the Sea of Galilee. I saw him restore hearing to the deaf and sight to the blind and cleanse the leper and preach the gospel to the poor. And now there's a rumor that one of us is going to betray him. And it's caused us all to think, could it be me? Will it be me?
My name is John. Sometimes my brothers like to tease me and they call me the beloved disciple because of the close relationship I have with my Lord. You know, to be honest, I'm not sure what to tell you right now. My teacher and my rabbi just a few minutes ago just washed my feet. Something normally reserved for slaves and for servants. And to top it all off, he just told us that one of us is going to betray him. You know, it's amazing to me that even a common stranger would want to betray this man, let alone one of his 12 closest friends. I remember this one time, myself, Peter, and James were walking up a mountain with Jesus. And as we were climbing, all of a sudden this white light just surrounded us and we were blinded for a few seconds. And when we came to our senses, we saw Jesus, and there he was standing in all of his glory. And he was talking with Moses and with Elijah. And as he was talking, I heard the voice of God come out of nowhere and reaffirm his love in his son, Jesus. And ever since then, I've just continued to see this man do amazing things. He's given sight to the blind. He's healed the lame. He's healed the cripple. He's even brought the dead back into life. Who could betray that man? Someone with so much love, who could betray him? Let alone one of his 12 closest friends. But to be completely honest, what scares me even more than having to face one of my closest friends after he's betrayed him is the feeling that I can't shake that it could be me. Will it be me?
My name's Simon. I'm known as Simon the Zealot. When Jesus found me, I was a warrior. I was a fiercely patriotic man that was just committed to the destruction of Rome. I and my companions of bloodthirsty, hard-hearted men were committed to destroying Rome. We wanted to return Israel to its kingdom of glory that it previously was. But then Jesus taught us a couple of things. First, he taught us about the kingdom of the heart when God reigns supremely there. And he also taught us about surrendering our future that we were trying to provide for ourselves. Surrender it to him. Allow him to guide our lives. And we would be so blessed. It took a little while. But once I began to understand what his message was, I changed my allegiance. I unconditionally surrendered myself to him. And you know, the interesting thing about that whole experience was that you would think that it would imprison me. But the reality is that it freed me up and it changed the very fabric of who I was as a man. You know, before that, I believed everything I got through the arrogance of my own self-worth. I went out and fought for it. I went out and killed for it. But after listening to Jesus and listening to his teachings, I realized that through humility, I was given blessings beyond understanding. You know, every one of these guys up here, you've heard them talking. Every one of us understands the might of Rome. But what does Rome have to hold over us? Death. That's the worst they can do, death. But what do we have? We have the kingdom of God that reigns forever. It is almighty. And so we now are so blessed, having all this wonderful news. And then now the teacher tells us, not moments ago, that there's one amongst us that will try to take by force that which only can be conquered by the heart. I'm sure the others were doing this. I know I certainly am. I started thinking about who could it be. You know, my first thought was Matthew. He's a tax collector. He's a crook. And then it's Peter. Oh my gosh. Every time Peter turns around, he's doing something just not really intelligent. And then I start thinking about Andrew. But then I get terrified. Because Jesus knows who I was when he found me. I was the warrior. I was the one who took everything by force. Is he talking to me? Could it be me? Oh, God of Abraham. Will it be me?
I am Peter. The day is vivid in my memory. My brother Andrew and I on the Sea of Galilee fishing. Jesus calling to us from shore, saying, "Follow me." Much to my amazement, we did. Dropping everything, leaving everything. We just followed. I remember one morning Jesus came. We had been fishing all night. We had not caught a thing. He told us to put out our nets one more time. I did not want to doubt the Master, but I did. But because he told me so, I put out my net. We brought in such a catch that night. The boats from town had to come and help us haul it in. By the time we got to shore, I was so ashamed. My sinful and doubting soul. I did not believe I even belonged in the presence of Jesus. You know what he told me? He said that I was going to become a fisher of men. Me. Peter. I mean, let's face it. I do. I put my foot in my mouth all of the time. I have the best intentions. I love the Lord so much. But I just can't ever seem to say the right thing or do the right thing. Why, even tonight when he said to us that someone was going to betray him, I was the first to step in. I was the first to speak up. I said, "Not me, Lord. No, never. I will follow you anywhere. I will die for you." Jesus told me that before the cock crowed twice, I would deny him 3 times. Could I really deny my Lord? I can't believe it's me. It has to be someone else. Just show me the scoundrel and I will pierce him with this knife. But what if I would be piercing my own heart? Could I betray Jesus? Could it be me? Will it be me?